been a while, hasn't it? Oh my gosh. So much has changed. So what's really funny is that I've actually already recorded this about 2 years ago, when we was coming out of the first lockdown, and it was really great. Fun times. The issue is, though, as you can see, is I didn't film it properly because I was out of focus. I think that just sent a whole thing where I was I felt quite deflated. I was like, oh, I don't really want to do it anymore. So I stopped. Kind of want to do it now because pretty much fiance's out, got some spare time. Let's just crack on with it. You know what I mean? For people that are unaware, many years ago I was doing a little series on Mark's Gospel during the lockdown, and just felt like just carrying on for the time being. So if I remember rightly, we finished chapter 2, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to go straight on to the first little story of chapter 3. Funny thing is for me at the moment is sometimes if I go back and just check my notes, I'm a bit like, oh, not sure if that's right, I'm not sure if I agree with that now. So, and that's the fun thing about development, about learning and growing in God, is that you are allowed to change your mind as long as you change it to the right kind of mind. You know what I mean? Again, as always, read from whatever version of the Bible that you like. I am reading the ESV at the current moment because we've started on this journey in the ESV, so I feel as though we'll continue for the time being. If I want to spice up the translation, then we can do that. But for the time being, we're going to look at the ESV. So Mark chapter 3, starting from verse 1. Again, he entered the synagogue, and a man was there with a withered hand. And they watched Jesus to see whether he would heal him on the Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. So if you would like to cast our minds back nearly 2 years ago now, or you can just read the last paragraph and get an idea of what we're talking about here, is that Jesus is referring to himself as the Lord of the Sabbath. And we're going to see this continue on. Mark has intentionally put this story right after so that we can see what Jesus says and how he acts under those circumstances. And the reason for this is so that we can get a better understanding of who Jesus is. Within this short story, we are introduced to the situation at hand. I can't even say that's a pun. It's a pun. It's a joke. We don't really know much about this person's identity. We don't really know where he is, where he's come from, or whether he has been born with this deformity, or whether it's something that's happened later on within his life. Within a earlier non-canonical gospel, we can see that this person was indeed a plasterer. Whether that is indeed true for this person, we're not entirely sure. The only thing that we do know is that he needs healing. The Pharisees are once again back on the scene, trying to inspect whether Jesus is going to perform this miracle on this man on the Sabbath, which for them is the big no-no. And what is surprising about reading this is that the Pharisees are very much aware that Jesus can indeed perform miracles and bring healings to people, but they're so caught up on the Sabbath that it's actually blinding them of what Jesus is actually trying to bring. So far, in Mark's Gospel, we have had 2 healings that have taken place on the Sabbath, and both of which take place in chapter 1. We've seen Jesus cast out a demon and also heal Simon's mother-in-law, which I believe took place either just before or just after the casting out of the demon. Now, theoretically, you can class these in separate circumstances. There are more emergency situations, So, there's a demon that's just running around in someone's person. You want to get the demon out, You want to get that out as quick as possible. And with the scenario regarding Simon's mother-in-law, is that was very much behind closed doors, and so that wasn't such a big deal. But here we have a person who, in the Pharisees' mind's eye, they can think, oh yeah, he can just wait till tomorrow to get that hand sorted out because he's had it for quite a while, if not since birth, so he can wait another day. Why do they need to do it now? The Pharisees very much believed that this man was not in a life or death situation, and so the healing could wait, as they would have known and read within Second Temple Jewish documents such as the Mishnah and other ones which I can't remember. And this is how that story continues, carrying on. And he said to the man with the withered hand, "Come here." And he said to them, "Is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do harm, to save life or to kill?" But they were silent. You okay? What's up? You stretching? Got a cat. Look at her. Isn't she cute? Oh, it's okay. This is how we're going to get the clicks, Blue. This is how we're going to get the clicks. Jesus is great. Once again, we can see what Jesus is already thinking. Oh. Very much as we see in chapter 2, Jesus already knows what the Pharisees are thinking. And so he asks the man to come towards him. And this marks, pun intended, the only time where Jesus actually intentionally wants to start a healing instead of someone coming towards Jesus to ask for the healing. I can imagine that this man was very much wanting to be on his own and not wanting to cause any kind of disturbance. But Jesus says, no, you, come here and let's sort this out together, you and me. Let's do it. Jesus then asks the Pharisees 2 questions. The first one is more rhetorical because as a reader, we already know what the answer is that we know that Jesus is on the side of righteousness. So whether it is good to heal our man on the Sabbath is, of course, an incredible thing to do. Ultimately, healing this man is on the side of goodness and righteousness and justice. And if Jesus was to ignore that and move away from that, even to come back for the next day, it would be regarded as evil. Which I know is a very strong word, but it is ultimately a disservice to this person. Jesus then asks a second question, and this one is where the punch really lies, because he is then asking them whether it is worth saving a life or killing it. But this man's life, this man with the withered hand's life, is not in immediate danger. So what on earth is Jesus talking about? The answer is within a few verses' time. Once this whole story is wrapping up, we see that the Pharisees begin the plot to kill Jesus. The silence that the Pharisees give Jesus can also show that they do not know the answer, and so they give themselves shame by leaving the question unanswered, which would have been seen as a shameful thing to do within the Greco-Roman world. And carrying on with verse 5. And he looked around at them with anger and grieved at their hardness of heart, and said to the man, stretch out your hand. He stretched it out, and his hand was restored. Jesus right here sees their unwillingness to help a person, to help a fellow human being who is in dire need of assistance. And Jesus then shows this very raw emotion. It says that Jesus showed anger. Now, within modern times, within the 21st century, we can interpret anger as many different things. Most commonly, we associate anger with a giant green man who likes to smash things. And we show that anger in the modern day doing many different things, by shouting, by screaming, by being enraged. Sometimes at the wrong things entirely. But here we see Jesus showing a true, genuine anger for the injustice that is happening right here. And for us, in modern times, we can see injustices that happen within the world. And I don't think I need to tell you, any date in question where we can see the true injustices that happen within the world. From 2020 to 2022, and even before then and even after this video is shown to you. But whatever situation, whatever circumstance that happens within our worlds or within the world in general, we are allowed to be upset, we are allowed to be angry at what happens. But when we see Jesus and what he does next is an example for us on how we should then let out that anger. And Jesus lets out his anger by healing this man, by getting rid of him the physical strain that he's been having for a very long time. And for us today, we can very easily take this lesson and apply it into our own lives. So when we see injustices, when we see things going wrong, we can be like Jesus. Instead of throwing our arms up in the air and being enraged and just not doing a very, how can I phrase this without sounding like a right douche? We see Jesus heal this man of his illnesses, of the things that have happened in his life, and he turns it around so that he can live an incredible life. And we can take this same message that Jesus has given us and we can apply it to our lives on a day-to-day basis. So whenever we're feeling enraged about the things that are going wrong in the world, instead of let's say for instance, complaining about it on social media and saying, oh, why can't there be someone, why can't something be done about this? You can be that reason, you can help out, you can assist in whatever way that you think is appropriate for what situation there is. A very particular phrase that Mark has used within this short little verse is the hardness of heart. Now, if you are familiar with the Old Testament, if you're familiar with your Bible, you will know that this phrase is associated with Pharaoh from the book of Exodus within the story of Moses freeing the Israelites from slavery. Whenever something happened in front of Pharaoh, whenever plagues were happening or whatever thing was being shown to him, Pharaoh had a hardness of heart and so was shut down from what was happening. And this is exactly what happens right here with the Pharisees. And later on, we'll see this hardness of heart also happen with Jesus' own disciples. And finally, verse 6. The Pharisees went out and immediately held counsel with the Herodians against him on how to destroy him. I added that on. Sorry. Probably should have done that, but makes sense grammatically. You know what I mean? So this whole situation has started because Jesus was doing stuff on the Sabbath, and so the Pharisees then leave to go plan to kill Jesus on the Sabbath. For hypocrisy, man. It's just, you can't write this down. I mean, you can write it down, but it's ridiculous. The Pharisees go to the Herodians, and the Herodians would have been supporters of Herod. Because Herod was used as a puppet king for the Roman Empire, we can see that the Herodians are representing Rome, and we can see that the Pharisees are representing the Pharisees, the religious side of things. Two groups that in theory would have clashed because the Jews don't really want Rome around, and Rome is trying to get everyone to worship them and look at us, we're great, we're Rome. I did a whole dissertation on it. It's great. Woohoo! But here we see both sides being aligned to try and get rid of one person, and that person is Jesus. This episode then concludes the group of stories which tells us how the Pharisees begin their plot to kill Jesus. And if we look at this story as a whole, we can see familiar patterns happening within each of them. Within the first one, we see a healing that takes place, just similar to the one that we've just spoken about. And then the second story, in contrast with the fourth one, the one we spoke about last time, 2 years ago, we see that food is a main part of it. And then the one right in the middle, we see Jesus talking about the kingdom of God coming in an exciting way and how new things are going to start happening, and that the old needs to be taken care of. It needs to be gotten rid of in order to bring in the new kingdom, the new wine in the new wine skin. This is ultimately why Jesus has come into the world, and we're going to figure out what happens each and every time we re-enter into the Gospel of Mark. Honestly, not too sure if I'll carry on. Don't know. I kind of want to finish off this little story bit because it's really cool. I am still studying it. I'm still writing stuff down, so don't you worry about it. So whenever, the next couple of months, or just whenever it comes out next time, I'll carry on this little thing. But if you want to learn more, then there's great resources online. You don't need to come to me. But that will wrap it up for me. There's a playlist somewhere of all the other Mark videos which you can catch up on. And I trust you're having a good day. And with that being said, I shall see you guys later down the road. Goodbye and God bless to you.